Hey, it's Adam with Theros Media, and today I want to go through a case study. We spent $2,900 for a contractor in September. They got back $89,000 back in sales, and I wanted you to take away 3 keys that you can use to double your sales in 7 days without spending any more on Google Ads. So, a little bit about me first. So, who I am. I've been advertising for a long time, but for HVAC specifically for the last 5 years. And our clients for our company have 11x ROI on their advertising, including our retainer. So the amount of money they pay us every month, plus their ad spend, we get them usually about 11 times return on that money. And back in 2019, we were working with a client here in Baltimore, and then we had an offer to buy into their company. So the deal was I had to work for their business for at least 6 months to get to know the business so I can actually buy into it with the other owners because there was an owner group. So I did that. Back in June, started there September 2019. Back in June 2020, got a letter of intent for me to actually buy into the company. Didn't end up working out. Left the company in 2021. But in 2021, from January to September when I left, the revenue was about $3.5 million. And we started that the year before at about 1.6. We kind of doubled, almost 1.5 times. 2.5 times the revenue within that 1 year because we try to figure out a couple things. The lead value for Theros Media is it's close to $100 million now. Haven't done this since about September, so about $100 million now. And usually on average, our clients get a 2.5 times increase on their revenue once they start working with us. So a little bit about how we came to these 3 keys. We lost all our techs during the shutdowns in 2020. So 2020 was a pretty rough year. I was working for the most part as the general manager, sales manager, marketing manager since I started in 2019. I was doing the majority of the in-home estimates started of 2020. Then COVID happened. We were shut down for about a month. But we had 4 weeks of installs booked that canceled between March and April. So we had to figure out how to get everything back. And when we started January 2021, we only had 1 install truck and 1 service truck on the road, which was kind of a big deal because we had come from a lot more than that. We wanted to grow and so the owners decided that they wanted to get out of the daily grind and start opening locations. So we had to figure out how to actually do that. So that was a challenge we were in 2021. So the start of 2021. And Google Ads, by the numbers, January to June, we spent about $12,000, got about $100,000 back in revenue, which was about a 9 times return on investment, which was good. We could scale that. But me being me, I always wanted to improve it. So we switched strategies to help bring on techs and salespeople. So usual strategies that you usually see. Install leads coming in, service leads coming in, all in one campaign. We switched that strategy. From July to September, we spent about $11,000, got about $200,000 back in revenue, which was a doubling of our usual return on ad spend, and our record between that month. So September, the month I showed you before, spent $2,900, got back $89,000 back in revenue, which was about a 31 times return on ad spend. And the end of September is when I left the company. So I do these advertising audits pretty frequently, and I didn't realize that this was something special in the industry until I started doing the audits for Theros Media. So I do audits pretty regularly. This is an audit that I did actually yesterday. So today is March 9th, so I did this yesterday. This company was spending $6,600 a month. They were getting 23 leads from that. They had 7 estimates, 3 sales, and about $12,000 in revenue. So they're getting a 2 times return on their ad spend. And we've been finding more and more that this is kind of typical in Google Ads management companies. And our numbers are usually 11 times return on ad spend. So I was trying to figure out why we were getting such outsized returns on our campaigns versus the campaigns that we see on a regular basis. So I came up with these 3 keys. So the campaign strategy we started using was somewhat new for HVAC specifically. We dedicate time to doing the boring work that no one else did that they should do, but it just takes a long time to do, so they don't. And then we only use best practices. That's a lot of times we go into ad accounts and we'll see things running to a home page or whatever. So we only use best practices in our campaigns to help us get outsized returns. So I'll go through the 3 keys now. There are 3 factors that lead to 20 times returns, and 20 times returns aren't out of the ordinary. Like I said, 11 times is our average, but we definitely get more than that. And the 3 keys are targeted setup. So setting up your campaign so Google sends you the highest quality leads possible, the most amount of traffic for those keywords possible. Keyword pruning, meaning taking out search terms, leaving in the ones that are. It's kind of, people call it keyword sculpting, but keyword pruning is what I like to call it, because you're actually taking out terms that you don't want to bid on. You're taking the ones, you're throwing everything in, you're taking the ones that you don't want to bid on out. So you don't spend any unnecessary money. Conversion assurance, meaning you're focusing on your ads on your customers, not the company. Now, the typical ad account setup is all keywords in one campaign. So typically we'll see that all the keywords are set up inside an ad campaign, and the ad campaign is doing well comparatively to what you typically is done, but throwing everything into one campaign is not scalable at all. You can't really figure out what keywords are working best for you. All the search terms are kind of all over the place. Using a fully automated bidding strategy is important or not important. Let me rephrase that. Using a fully automated bid strategy is detrimental to your performance, especially if you don't have conversion set up, because you get the most expensive clicks you can possibly get. Google will just spend your money inadvertently without really taking the time to figure out what your conversions are, so they can figure out who to send to your website. Inaccurate tracking is what we typically see, because Google can't optimize if your website isn't set up to track results. So you're supposed to send data back to Google, and they can't send you the optimal traffic for your website if you don't have conversions set up properly. So the typical ad account is set up something like this. They'll have all the keywords inside one campaign, and everything set up properly. You have keyword ad groups that match each other, but most times you'll see a lot of keywords that don't really match in a campaign, and that's detrimental. You'll see targeted cost per acquisition. For this one, this is a maximized conversion strategy. This is a fully automated bid strategy, but they didn't have conversion set up properly. You'll see here that they had conversions that weren't necessarily conducive to their business. They had Google Shopping conversion set up, and this is the HVAC company. They're trying to generate leads. So that's definitely not what you want to have happen either. So setup done better, you do it by the service line, because you can scale up and down the cost per, you can scale up and down based on the cost per lead for each service. Each service you should have a different lead cost for each service, because you have a different cost per estimate on it. You have a different closing rate on it. You have different lifetime value of customers on different service lines. So they should be set up differently. If you have a different cost per acquisition, and you have a different lifetime value for your customers, you should definitely break those up into different ad groups, because you can scale up and down depending on the cost per lead you're getting at the time. Manual bidding until your conversions are in your account. A lot of times you'll see, like I said, the wrong conversion them set up improperly, and you're scaling the wrong things, because if you don't have conversion set up properly, Google can't send you the ideal client for you. You don't have control over your costs, because you're teaching Google to optimize for the wrong thing. And conversion tracking actually set up on the website to send data back to Google, so they can figure out who to actually send to you, who's optimal to send to you. And then if everything's bundled into one ad group or one campaign, you'll have keyword confusion, what I like to call it. You'll bid on non-converting keywords. Ad spend isn't focused on the service line. It's kind of spray and pray, in my opinion, because everything's set up in one thing. You're trying to figure out what works. Search terms are ignored. So a lot of times when you don't have things set up properly, you'll stop going through the search terms to figure out what's working, what's not, because there's just too much to go through in one campaign. If you set it up properly, it's usually easier to manage, and search terms are kind of what Google used to expand your keywords, but you typically are bidding on something that doesn't, someone who doesn't know your business can't really take out the search terms that aren't conducive to you. So up to 90% of your ad spend is wasted. A lot of times we go inside ad accounts, 65% or so is the average. And what we see normally sent on information, job seekers, do-it-yourselfers, competitors, that type of thing. But it can be up to 90%. We saw an account back in November. They spent about $25,000 a month, and about 90% of that was wasted on job seekers for the most part. This is how typically you'll see. So you'll see 5 out of 3. Well, this one, I looked at this yesterday. 5 out of 13 of their search terms were complete waste. So pool heat pump installation near me. They should have excluded this, but they didn't. Home Depot HVAC installation. People looking for Home Depot contractors. HVAC installer tools. Lowe's HVAC installation, which was the falling window air conditioners. And they were bidding on, not window air conditioners. They were bidding on heat pumps, everything in this one campaign. So you can see these things are kind of all over the place. And that should never happen in your account. So you can scale your service lines infinitely better if you bid on keywords that convert. Obviously, you don't want to bid on the incorrect search terms more than once. So Google, you'll always have a little bit of waste inside your ad accounts. But the idea is to get that closer to 0 than obviously 100. But you never want to waste any, you don't ever want to bid on the same incorrect keyword twice, especially if you spent money on it before. You want to make sure that's captured and taken out your account as soon as you possibly can. And you can, so once you start doing this type of thing, you can extract the search terms that are actually working for you, give them their own campaign, and scale that up, and so you can maximize the traffic from that keyword. Once you figure out 1 or 2 keywords that'll work, you can put them in their own campaigns, exact match keywords, bid a ton of money on them to get the maximum amount of leads coming in possible. And less than 10% of ad spend is usually wasted. Because every search term is verified and you hardly waste any ad spend on anything that isn't important to your business. And a lot of times, people who will advertise, especially contractors, are company focused. So they for that, what I mean by that is, if you see here, they're talking about, them for the most part. They're sending people to the homepage, talk about them. It shows the lack of care for your client, to your potential customer, because they have to remember why they're there in the first place. A lot of times if you send people to your home page or a service page and you have a menu there, they'll click. If you ever have heat map tracking or video tracking on your website, you'll see them click around, try to figure out how to actually get in contact with you. It shows laziness because they have to spend their time figuring out how to get in touch with you. If you're telling me that, reach out for me for an estimate, but you don't show me how to, you don't give me a button to do that, you don't give me the estimate form, I have to figure out how to do it. Typically, someone's not going to do that because, they're there for a specific reason. You're not giving them what they're there for. And it shows unreliability in your company because they have to piece together your messaging for themselves instead of you telling them exactly how to get in contact with you and what you can do for them. And these are just some examples. We have a spreadsheet here of about 1,000 HVAC advertisers, and these are the first 6 I pulled from the list. The majority, so 95% of the time, if we're doing an account audit, we'll see stuff like this. We'll see stuff been sent to 404 pages, stuff that's sent to the homepage, no forms on the page. So this is, make an appointment. You have to go to another page to submit a form. That's not the best. You'll see things popping up on them. Tell them they'll give you a call back, but they never do. This is going to a website page where you see the menu here. This is going to a standard. This is actually a template inside of WordPress. They didn't do any customization to it. And this button didn't even work. It's not conducive of getting people to trust your company, and it's not conducive of getting people to actually reach out to you for an estimate. And so we switch everything to customer-focused landing pages, and we actually track everything. It shows people that you care about their time, especially time is essential for everybody. It shows people you care because you are actually giving them what they showed up to do. They showed up to give you a submitted estimate form to you, and you're giving them the exact reason why they're there. Shows people that you're dependable because you speak directly to what they're looking for. It shows people that you're trustworthy because it speaks directly to why they're there. These are important because they want to do something. They want to get an estimate from you, so you're talking to exactly why they're there. And this is a good example from Mitsubishi. These buttons are not actually menu buttons. They scroll to different parts of the page, so it's easier for people to navigate the page. They have a form right when you get there, so they're trying to figure out how to get a ductless estimate. We love Mitsubishi. I used to advertise for them, so I love the way they're advertising now. So those are the 3 keys that we've seen that help double in less than 7 days. 7 days is just the average, because people don't actually get it done within 7 days. So 7 days is the average. You can double your conversions overnight just by implementing this one thing, customer-focused landing pages, instead of sending them to pages like this. And then the ad account stuff typically takes a little longer, but you can definitely build it within 7 days. So what I wanted to do is show you the first couple things. The landing page, you can take an example from, just Google anything ductless in your area. Mitsubishi usually pops up. Click on their landing page. You can take an example from them. So they're a good example to use for your landing page. But I wanted to show you how to build a campaign that actually converts very, very well, how to set it up, and what that actually looks like. A lot of times we go inside. I'm not great at editing, so I can't edit. Unfortunately, I can't edit names out of accounts when I go into an account. So I have a dummy account here that we set up, and we're going to use later. But we have a dummy account here if it ever loads up. Then I'll show you how to build a campaign through. So give me 1 second to let it load up. All right, so everything's loaded up. Hopefully it cooperates with me today. But the first thing you should know is what I mean by service line only. So you only have a campaign for one service line. Meaning you have a search campaign for heat pump installs. So this can be change outs and replacements. Change outs and replacements are the same thing. New installs are something different. We would set that up in a new campaign by itself if you have the budget for it. But typically you can put it inside the replacement change out campaign and you'll do fine. So here's one that we set up currently. So this is only for heat pump installs. Click inside. And this is per location. So if you have multiple locations, you have each campaign set up per location as well. And you'll have your keywords based around the replacement keyword, the installation keyword, the near me keywords, that type of stuff. Everything should be grouped together very, very tightly. So your ads match very, very tightly. And only one dynamic campaign per landing page. You don't want to have a dynamic campaign for the whole website because you can never control that very well. You have one dynamic campaign per, one dynamic ad group per campaign per landing page. And then once you set up all your campaigns, your ad groups, there's a little strategy in how you set up your ad groups. Once you set them up, each ad group's keywords is excluded from the other ad group's keywords, so they're not cross-bidding. You don't want your ads showing up for saying one thing when they should say another. That's a big, we see that a ton inside contractors' campaigns. All of their campaigns usually are bidding on each other's keywords. There's really no rhyme or reason to how Google shows their ads. And a lot of times you'll see abysmal click-through rates, conversion rates inside specifically HVAC contractors' campaigns. So each one is bid against the other or excluded from the other, so you can bid on your keywords properly. Usually you use enhanced cost per click, so you can control what you're actually bidding on things, so you can scale up and scale down your costs. And then once that's done, once that's set up properly, your landing pages should match. So you should have one landing page per campaign usually. A lot of times we'll do more because you'll have, let's say, heat pump installation. We're looking at changeouts, and then you're going after Ream and Carrier in two separate ad groups. You want to have a Ream landing page and a Carrier landing page. So stuff like that, just think through it logically. What would you want to see? You want to see Carrier. If someone's searching for Carrier heat pump installation near me, you want to have a Carrier picture show up. You don't want to have a Ream picture show up. If someone's searching for Train, you want to have a Train picture show up. Stuff like that. You want to have different landing pages for different keywords. And that's typically how it's done. A lot of times for bigger contractors who have a ton more money to spend on advertising, you'll even break it up granularly by location. Typically is by replacement, change out, or two different things in people's minds. And then installation is usually new installation, so that's broken up separately as well. So there's a lot more you can go into how to break up campaigns for success. But this is the general rule: is you want to have one campaign per service line per location, just so you can control your costs a ton better. And for landing pages, like I said, Mitsubishi's is a great example of what you should do on your landing page. They've been using the same exact landing page for a long, long time now. The same setup. They've just been testing different things. But this landing page converts very well for Mitsubishi. You can take it and use it in yours and get enormous results. So hopefully, let's go through it one more time. Campaign setup is huge. Making sure the actual terms you're bidding on is huge. And then using landing pages in your campaigns are huge as well. Those will definitely double your sales in 7 days without you spending any more money on your Google Ads. There are other strategies we can talk about, but these are the big three that we see. Usually retargeting is one as well. You can double your sales coming in the month, but that's something subject for another video. So I've been Adam with Theros Media. Hopefully this has helped you narrow down what you need to do for your Google Ads to double your sales. And I'd say 95% of contractors we talk to usually need to do all three of these things. Most people, so I'd say 98%, need a new landing page. We've seen this a ton, even for Fortune. Inc. 5000, nominees. We've seen that they are sending things to the homepage and stuff like that. So, big contractors, small contractors. If you're a small guy and you use this stuff, you can outcompete even the bigger contractors in the area because usually they're not doing these things. Well, I will say one thing. Usually the bigger ones, so people who have, like in our areas, BG&E Home, they have about maybe 200 trucks in this area. They're usually doing things the right way. And that's typically because they spend their money wisely. And that's one way you do it. You do all the best practices you possibly can in your ad account so you can spend your money optimally. So typically there's one or two big guys in the area that are doing things the right way, but everybody else is usually wasting the majority of their money when they're spending money on ads. So if you are interested in us helping you figure this out for you, if us looking at your account give you we call it a domination plan for your area, so we can show you exactly what you need to do in your ad account, just let us know. We're more than happy to help you out. I'm totally free as well. We do these probably 10 a day or so by now. So we can definitely help you out. Like I said, I've been Adam with Theros Media, and we'll talk to you soon.